This is Tim Patterson, and
Hello,
we're here
this is
today to
Tim
talk about
Patterson.
GunCraze. So, what is GunCraze? GunCraze is an action tabletop role playing system that brings players into intense action combat, pushing the boundaries of realism. And what do I mean by pushing the boundaries of realism? Well, anybody that enjoys a good 80s, 90s action movie understands when realism gets pushed a little bit. That character throws a knife through the enemy and pins him through a wall. Could it happen? Maybe. And that's the type of realism we're talking about pushing. GunCraze is a system that uses D10s. Successes in GunCraze are determined by the roll of a 10-sided dice, and they're compared normally to a target number or to an opposed roll, usually from an opponent. GunCraze uses a 2-second round, where characters can either perform a movement and an action, or perform a combination action. GunCraze uses a classless system that offers a large amount of variation of character development. There are literally millions of character customization combinations. Characters are customized by specializations, attributes, perks, talents, skills, and then their weapons and equipment. And we're going to get into all these in different videos. In future videos, we're going to discuss that character creation. We're going to talk about talents. We're going to talk about skills. We're going to talk about the different types of weapons. We're going to talk about craze points. GunCraze is currently in an alpha testing, meaning it's still in development. You can support GunCraze directly by subscribing to our Patreon. For $3 a month, you'll get access to every document that is produced in PDF format. As soon as it's released, you get it. But thank you for your time, and help us fund GunCraze.
All right, good evening and welcome to the stream. We are now on episode 7. Right? 7's a lucky number for some people, right? Let's hear it. All right, so we're going to get into it. We're going to start right off here at GunCraze.net. Great place to learn about GunCraze. If you haven't really got exposed to it yet, head over to GunCraze.net. There are plenty of links here to kind of walk you through why GunCraze is a great game to play, and what are the features of it, why is it different from hit locations to opposed rolls. All right, there are a lot of great things going on in GunCraze to make it just the best role-playing game out there. It will be. It's just too much fun. All right, so that being said, we're going to get back into where we were when we last left off. We're going to be specifically discussing handgun talents, and so as I moved, I have a little bit open right here. I was working on something else. All right, I was checking out what's called Shield Other. We were talking about it the other day. One of the things I like about Shield Other is the ability for a person to actually tank for a specific character, to actually protect them, and that's a really important ability to have. All right, Shield Other. All right. The Shield Other rule allows a character to protect an adjacent allied character with their own body. All right. Now, it doesn't specifically say you have to have a shield. You just have to have you. When a player chooses the Shield Other action for their character, the character focuses their effort on putting themselves between any attackers and their ally who is now considered shielded. However, the player taking the Shield Other action cannot attack while performing this action, as they are dedicating all their efforts to defending their ally. A character who is using the Shield Other action may roll their defense roll in lieu of the attack's original defender. If the attack hits, it will hit the character performing the Shield Other action. Okay, why is that important? Well, if you actually have a shield, the goal would be to redirect the shots from the shielded character to your shield. Now, not to ruin a great thing, my first character that I really designed and played, and a buddy of mine named Drew, who designed the character builder, that's on GunCraze.net. You can head over there and download that. It doesn't cost you anything. Mess around with building characters. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, getting sidetracked like I do. So I had this character. He had a shield. Got shot at by a guy with an assault rifle. I got hit in the foot and in the only exposed arm. So the shield was completely in great condition after, and my character Zed was not in such great condition. That being said, Shield Other is a great a great alternate action that you can take in combat as opposed to attacking. All right. Now the concept is you can't attack while performing this action. So there is a talent in the handgun tree, which we were talking about last night, and I'm gonna head up to it right now. There's a lot of talents. I'm excited. All right, so we stopped here, and it's called defensive shot. All right, we talked about defensive shot and how this allows you to still take a shot with a ranged weapon, actually specifically with a handgun, unless you spend the extra talent points to unlock the cross use ability. All right, so you still have to have handguns too, but then you can unlock it to replace handgun with a one-handed ranged weapon, to include a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun. All right, you could do that. That'd be hilarious. A shield and a sawed-off double barrel. Let's go. All right. And then with that sawed-off, you're also talking about all the abilities and all the talents that come with it that you can use in that shot. All right, they're gonna have different abilities that other talents that are gonna add and synergize with defensive shot to make it hit that much harder. Just walking around and kneecapping people essentially, which is another great talent for the shotgun. I'm gonna go ahead and just write that one down because kneecap. I mean, hey, why not, right? Anytime an idea comes to the head, we'll throw it on there. All right, let's see here. So we did go through defensive shot improved, defensive shot mastered. This basically, as you level up, you reduce the effects of defensive shot on your character to the point where once you have 4 ranks in handguns and 4 ranks in shields, and you've already bought in defensive shot improved, you can buy defensive shot mastered, which means you're just shooting everybody with your shotgun or your offhand weapon and no problems. All right. Then we got into evasion shot, the concept of you dodging around, and as you're dodging this round, you're taking shots at your opponent. You're not wasting that time just moving. So that's another great ability that you'll be able to do to influence your character. All right. So let's see here. Got to be on the right page here. So, you got any lurkers out there? Shoot us out. Drop a message in the chat. Say hi. Don't be afraid. Ask questions if you have one. All right. So, moving along, we talked about exploit armor. Now, a lot of ideas come. You see things that give you inspiration for ideas, and I tell you what, I waited too long to see John Wick. I really did. I'll give you, and I am a little bit ashamed now that I've watched it, and I love it so much. I actually watched. You're gonna be mad at me. How can this guy like action movies? I watched 1, 2, and 3 back to back, basically, and I was floored. I fell in love with it. I didn't really think it could be that good, and it was better. Nobody had told me anything. It was memes and stuff that I kept seeing about a dog, and I'm like, what is that even about? Whatever. I'm like, yeah, I love my dog, but then they made it like this whole thing. Well, one of the cool things he does in that is he ends up fighting these guys in heavy armor, and he just exploits their armor by shooting through the cracks. All right, he finds the chinks in their armor and shoots them. All right, so that's basically what exploit armor is. It's a handgun ability. All right, and what it allows you to do is when you have a handgun and you're adjacent to the target, range called shots with handguns may choose to ignore any benefit to armor. So these are adjacent called shots. All right. So that's really important to note. Now, we also talked about Last Stand at the end of yesterday. Through training and fortitude, you're able to make single attacks with your handgun after you've been downed. All right. So downed is when your character sustains so much damage that they're not tough enough to take it. So they basically go into the fetal position. Bad things happen. All right. And let's actually go into that, because that's another reason we're here, is to make sure the rules support when you do get downed. All right. So make sure, hey, if you're following, if you're here viewing, if you're not already following, drop a follow in. Really appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get over to my secondary sheet, and we're going to go look up. We're going to look up downed. All right. So let's just talk about down. When characters become down, they lose the ability to fight because they're suffering from extreme pain normally caused by a wound. When a character becomes down, they may choose to move 5 feet 1 square. After that movement, if any, they will fall prone, likely nursing the injury that caused them to be down. A character who is down may move, crawl 5 feet on their turn, but cannot make attacks. Every turn a character is down, they lose 1d6 stamina at the end of their character turn. This stamina loss stops when a character becomes knocked out or if they fight through the pain, explained below. On their turn as an alternate action, replaces an attack. An allied character that is adjacent to a down character may assist them in getting in their feet and continuing to fight. This allows the character to make a toughness test to fight through the pain in between their own character turns, and may be done any amount of times between turns. Any amount of times. Plural. Hey, another reason we're here, right? Make those changes if we see them. Duration. Once a character is down, they can only attempt to return to the fight at the beginning of their character turns before any movement is made by attempting to fight through the pain as described below. Fight through the pain. Characters may attempt to fight through the pain by passing a toughness test against a target number of 8. If they succeed, they cancel all effects of being down but remain prone. If they fail the roll, they continue to be down and may test again at the beginning of their next character turn, or whenever an allied character performs an assist alternate action. Alright, characters may not rest while they are down. The damage done to them just hurts too bad. So that's being downed. That is a situation you do not want to be in. You see some other things here, drowned. Those are also bad. You know, we don't want to be drowned either. Alright, so we're going to move back and we're going to talk about how do you become downed, alright? We're going to make sure we have that support in the rules to show being down. Hey, make sure, like I said, if you're following, go ahead and drop that, or if you're here lurking, drop a message in chat. Just say hey. All right, moving around, we're going to go look up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and look up. Basically, you've just been shot. You know, you're dealing damage is what we're looking at. So toughness test for damage. Sometimes as I'm working on the book, the pages will get kind of cut off like this, and generally all I have to do is kind of like space them forward. I don't do it all the time because it happens so often that I would be nothing but doing that. I could spend a whole session with you guys on here just hitting the enter bar, and that's it, just making everything line up, just to make one change the following day, and it's all changed. All right. So some characters can shrug off damage from brutal attack. Others find the pain too intolerable. A toughness test is taken anytime hit point damage is dealt to a hit location. The test is taken by taking a toughness test. Okay, so that's kind of bad wording. All right, by with the target number. Okay, you just got to reword it right. A toughness test is taken anytime hit point damage is dealt to a hit location. What does that mean? All right, so you have armor points and you have hit points on each hit location. If you don't know this about GunCraze, it uses hit locations. So you have number 1 is your left leg, number 2 is your right leg, number 3 is your left arm, number 4 is your right arm, and then 5 through 9 are your torso, and 10 is your head. Okay? Now, as you play the game, you may end up with 2 extra limbs. Those end up taking torso spots, which can be beneficial or not. All right? You can also use shields, which cover blankets of those points, so that you can effectively shield attacks. All right, as we were talking about earlier with shields. All right, so I just got to get this wording here kind of right. A toughness test is taken anytime hit point damage is dealt to a hit location. The test is taken by rolling a d10 and adding a character's toughness bonus against Okay. With a target number. I like to capitalize those things. Like words that you, concepts that you use often, you want to have them kind of capitalized so people kind of see and pay attention to those things. Adding a character stuff symbol, so the target number equal to, I don't need to put or greater, equal to the hit point damage that was incurred causing the test. All right. So that being said, it's not in the example earlier. Let's see. We're talking about, there was an example earlier right here. Davila fails a toughness test by rolling 1. She has no craze points to raise it. She only has 15 stamina points remaining. When she then takes 3d6 stamina damage, she rolls a whopping 16 damage and knocks herself out. Okay, so in this point, what has happened here? Let's see here. I'm got to go back a little bit more. Oh, here we go. In this example, all right, if the attack consists of hit point damage, usually determined by not mentioning damage as stamina, that's how damage works. All damage is considering like damage that would deal hit point damage or normal damage. All right. Apply that hit point damage to any armor points at the hit location it was rolled. The character still feels the brunt of the hit and takes half of the damage dealt to the armor rounded up to their stamina points. So what that means is, and still takes half of the damage dealt to the armor, okay? So the armor took 30 points, all right? The character would still be dealt 15 points of stamina damage. If there is no armor at that location, or the last armor point was spent, deal the damage to the hit point pool of the hit location. Apply any stamina damage dealt before continuing. So stamina damage manages whether you're conscious or not, all right? You'd be ability, hey, I got see some people out here are watching. Go ahead and drop a follow if you haven't already, and say hi in the chat, all right? I'd be glad to hear from you, and glad to take any questions that you have. If you want to know about GunCraze, I'll veer off in a different direction. You just let me know. I'm here for you, and while I write this book. All right. If the attack, let's see here. So in this example, Zed deals 14 damage to Davila's torso. Davila is wearing torso armor that has 10 armor points. The first 10 points are dealt to her armor, destroying it. She takes 5 stamina damage from that onslaught. Then the other 4 points of damage are dealt as hit point damage to her torso. If she fails her toughness test, she'll become downed and take 3d6 more stamina damage. That's the part of what happens when you take that damage. It's over here on the side. The blow to the body has the character winded and unable to breathe. The character becomes downed and suffers 3d6 stamina damage right off the bat. All right. The other 4 points of damage are dealt as hit point damage to her torso. We talked about that. So moving down. Example. Davila fails the test by rolling a 1, and she has no craze points to raise it. She only has 15 stamina points when she takes 3d6 stamina damage. She rolls 16 stamina damage and knocks herself out. She becomes unconscious. The last point becomes 1 point of hit point damage to her torso. So wait a minute. Even though the round, all right, all that stamina damage, all right, whenever you run out of stamina and you're still being dealt stamina damage, it goes to your torso. So essentially, you can not only beat somebody unconscious, you could beat them to death beyond that. Or if somebody, smacks, a mech with a log hits you, and it does your armor in, does a massive amount of damage to your armor, but now all that excess stamina is going to cause some internal bleeding. All right. So that being said, all right. So let's see here. Moving on. So that's kind of how your toughness test goes for dealing damage. All right. So in this case, my major focus of Last Stand is You failed that test, you've been downed, all right? For whatever reason, you're downed. But this allows you with a handgun, you could pull it out and still take shots, all right? However, you do suffer a -4 talent penalty to do so. Now, if anybody's played the old Call of Duty games, Last Stand was your death streak, right? You'd get your death streak if Last Stand. So you'd sit there around with a pistol and try to shoot somebody before the timer ran out. And if you did kill somebody, you would suddenly get back up, which was great. I'm not going to add that part, but it's definitely a fun memory of the older Call of Duties. All right, so then we walk down to Ricochet Expert. This is actually where we left off. I made it red to track that. I'm going to just go ahead and make it black so we can continue on. So through training and fortitude, you are able to make... Okay, so this is a copy. That happens a lot. So I just need to change this to red. All right, and now I'm going to get my... Over on the side here, I'm going to do a little preview. Let me get up to... Oh. I got some, let me get up here to the range weapons. All right. So, moving on. Ricochet Expert, handguns 4. All right, so handguns 4 is the requirement. And remember, this is an action hero role-playing game. All right, not a superhero role-playing game, though with cybernetics, you could basically be a superhero. I mean, I'm not going to lie, you could be amazing. And we discussed a little bit of that yesterday, showing off Nephilim from behind blue eyes. I might show her off again today, but just being a case in point, cybernetics can make you that much better. There's also going to be actual enhancements. What's the word I'm looking for here? It is your, like, gene therapy to make you even better in certain ways. So these things are all going to be entered into the game as time passes. All right. Right now, there's some limited cybernetics in this rulebook because this rulebook's made to take the place of the Days of Reckoning campaign. All right, the Days of Reckoning campaign. All right. What does that even mean? All right. Let's take a moment to talk about the Days of Reckoning. The year's 2050. All right, it's just rolled up. You just went to bed at the 2049. You have a long day tomorrow, and you wake up, East Coast. All the power's out. All your computer, your phone isn't working. Nothing's out. Your immediate thought is, man, I think we got EMP. But then you find out isn't the case. Some power is up, just not yours. Depending on the situation or where you live, you may still have power. Or if you have a solar situation, you may still have power. Obviously, those things would be destroyed from an EMP, so you wouldn't have that otherwise. So time starts ticking by, and you start to realize that all the cars are in the street, not moving. You see giant plumes of smoke coming from the horizon all around. And as you start to talk to people and find out things, nobody has cell phone communications, nobody's computers are working. And as time starts to pass, you start to realize that the entirety of the Internet of Things was destroyed, as far as your knowledge goes. All right. When that happens, the world becomes a very dangerous place very fast, because you're talking about a time when we're on digital currency only. There's no cash to go out and buy some food. As a matter of fact, even if you go there, they can't sell you anything because the whole place is computerized. So now you're like, okay, what do I do now? And as time passes, things progress. I don't want to ruin it too much. I'll spend probably more time on different streams talking about more of what happens during the Days of Reckoning campaign. But you don't have to play that campaign at all. That's the best part. You can just play Cyberpunk. All right, you can. These rules sustain the weapons and whatnot. Sustain up through cyberpunk weaponry. The actual cybernetics will not. There's different eras of GunCraze. There is more than three, but three is basically where my initial goal is. So the first phase is the Days of Reckoning. That takes place in the year 2050. The whole system goes down. Corporations go into hiding. The governments fall. Mass riots, mass death. I mean, 90% of the people on the planet die. No matter what you do, you could just you try to focus on your own areas, possibly, depending on what kind of game you want to play. A lot of people like playing world building, and that could be a thing. All right, you could definitely get with your gun master and be like, hey, we also want to add some world building into this, where you're helping communities stand back up and push them to evolve and become better. Or, you go out and just try to stay alive and do whatever it takes. All right. GunCraze is not really made for evil campaigns. You can do that, but that needs to be a very clear discussion with the gun master, with very fine expectations set. If you're playing the evil campaign in the GunCraze universe, the Children's Sanctuary Accords will come into play. So that kind of protects kids. You basically in GunCraze, one of the things I wanted to be careful with is that kids aren't being abused or even have the chance to be. So there are situations where kids are. It's basically like a treatise that the entire planet at some point is taken because so many people have died. If you find a kid, your job suddenly becomes to get them to either a religious center or a school. All right. However you pick, that's up to you. All right. You can make those choices as you need to based on your own personal character. All right. And from there, those places are basically considered, holy ground, if you will. Like, you cannot do, business. It's like being at the Continental. All right. If you're at a school, at an elementary school, middle school, and they have kids there, you're not doing business. There is nothing is happening. All right. It is, if it happens, it is an automatic. Everybody in the area finds out and they come for you. And there's a lot of bad things that can happen. And everybody agreed to it. The gangs, the drug lords, everybody. All right. So more about that at a different time. But that's one of the things that are in the game. All right. So kind of get back to this. All right. So we're talking about the Ricochet Expert. The concept is, again, action hero, being able to shoot the ground or shoot the wall and bounce around a corner. All right. Trying to use the ricochet to deal damage. Okay. So let's see what it says here. I always write these things first in the summary to give me the idea, and then I flesh them out afterwards. All right, so what does it do? Negates half the cover bonus, rounded down, to targets within 10 feet with an aim shot. Okay, so you have to use an aim shot, and it negates half their cover bonus. Okay, so if somebody's got, he's got 3/4 cover, you're looking at +6 to his defense roll. You can knock it down to a +3 by using an aim shot. So you're just actually going to round. Now, unfortunately, you have to be really close for this to happen. All right. But you're going to ricochet that round off a nearby wall or floor and have it come up from underneath to try to hit them. All right. So that's the kind of the concept there. And I could write, you could write a little bit I could write a little bit about this, but I'm not going to. I'll do that when you guys are off stream. I don't want to bore you with that stuff. Just going to have these parts. All right, it's 2 talent points for this. All right, so what are talent points? Every time you level up, you gain a power level. All right, you gain a specialization point. So that specialization point, you can put it in one of the 5 specializations, all right, which are ranged combat, melee combat, body, quickness, and non-combat. That 1 point goes into one of those 5 specializations, and then it breaks down even further. I'll walk you through some of the attributes now. lean around my camera here. All right. All right. So we're going to talk about your ranged combat attributes. So at one point, let's say you put it into ranged. Well, you could spend it in handguns, submachine guns, rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, support weapons, or maybe put it into an exotic ranged weapon like a bow. Now you're like, whoa, exotic, a bow? I've never heard that before. Well, yeah, in fantasy games, it's not. Bows are standard. People know how to hunt. But in 2050, very few people know how to use a bow. All right? Very few. And you might be one of those people. So you can spend it in the bow. What are the benefits? I mean, silence, right? So stealth, that's great. So you could totally go a bowman's route. And you put that. So right here shows exactly what happens on the character sheet. You put your ranks in, and then you break it up into your attributes. Okay? Melee combat. So melee is a little different. Instead of going weapon by weapon, it goes style by style. So you have your unarmed combat, your stabbing weapons, your slashing weapons, your crushing weapons, your shield, and your shields, and your exotic melee weapons. All right. Now, you're like, wait, a katana, that's also a slashing weapon. Well, it is. But special abilities unlock when you learn how to use these exotic weapons in the way that they're meant to be. So if you spend actual points in exotic melee weapons and say, hey, I'm going to spend it on the katana, it unlocks abilities that the katana has. Okay. Body attributes are strength, endurance, and toughness. All right. So strength gives you your carry, lift, your push, drag, and your bonus melee damage. Okay. So basically, it keeps you from being encumbered, which allows you to not wear out, carrying people around, things like that. Endurance is your actual stamina and your ability to withstand different types of poison or ailments, things like that. And also, your endurance increases your breath holding time, which can be really cool. You can have a total underwater battle setup with your players, where they're literally underwater having to fight and try to get to the other side through enemies with maybe with their own scuba gear, and your team doesn't have scuba gear. So it's not that easy to rip scuba gear off a guy. Even if he's dead, you're not going to happen. So you're maybe grabbing a new fresh breath every time you fight, or depending on how that goes. All right. So that being said, moving along. All right, toughness. Toughness is your ability to withstand damage. Anytime you sustain hit point damage, you have to make a toughness test to avoid being downed or knocked out. All right, and we discovered that. We discovered that a little bit earlier. All right. Also, anytime a character is dealt stamina damage from an attack, reduce the stamina damage by 1 for each point of toughness the character has to a minimum of 0. This does not prevent stamina damage from other sources, like failing an endurance test. So if you sprint, you have to make an endurance test. If you fail it, you take 1d6 stamina damage. All right. Stamina damage is easier to recover. You just rest around and you gain 1d6. But in the middle of combat, you can actually run out of it rather quickly, and bad things happen. Quickness has reaction, which is basically your initiative rolling. And it's also your ability that helps you with holding, all right? So how does holding work in GunCraze? That's really important to know as well. Holding is done by, you just say, hey, I'm going to hold action, or you move into what's called a partial hold. When unlike other games where you have to declare what you're holding for, no, you just hold. And if your turn comes up again, well then you lost it, all right? But you can continue holding. Whenever you want to jump out of it, it has to be on somebody's turn that's not yours. You roll against that person to interrupt their turn. All right? If you interrupt their turn, then you take over. That's your turn now. And then they go next. If you fail it, well, they're going to do what they're going to do, and then your turn's going to come up like normal. All right, so that's how holding works. There's two versions of it. All right, speed is your literal physical speed, how fast you can move. All right, so just to put it out there, your movement rates, when we talk about a sprint of 16, that is just slightly slower. If you can make it to 16, you're still slower than Usain Bolt, because I think I wanted him to stand out as the pinnacle of human speed. However, you can bypass this with cybernetics. No offense to Usain Bolt, but yeah, if you get some really nice cybernetic legs, you're running. You're going to move. Stunt. Stunt is the ability that makes you like Jackie Chan, all right? Stunt tests are like your aerobatics. Your acrobatics checks, sorry. And it's going to be one of the benefits of having stunt is for each rank you have, you could ignore a space of difficult terrain in a turn, which could be a table, a desk. Basically, you move through it as if it doesn't exist. Again, think about Jackie Chan navigating a room full of crap as he's trying to get to his opponent. He just would slide through the ladder, slide under things and over things. That's what that does. So stunt, a character like Jackie Chan would be right on for that, okay? Okay, let's see here. Okay, so your non-combat attributes, all right? Hey, make sure if you're out there or you're watching, drop a message. Say hey, ask a question if you want. This is a community game, all right? It has been built by more than myself. People drop great ideas all the time. They drop constructive criticism. I don't shift easily, but I've been known, hey man, that makes so much common sense, I'm going to shift. So that is a really important thing to note. I'm excited to have you, if you haven't followed yet, please do drop a follow. That would be hugely great for me to continue this. So let me get back into non-combat. So you have your intelligence and your wisdom and your presence. All right. These are the three role-playing, skill-based attributes. And so there's a full suite of skills in GunCraze. And it gets a little, it might even be a little much, but I don't even care at this point. Nobody's actually said that, but there's a lot. And I'll just show you real quick some of the skills. Start here. So animal handling, cargo hauling, appraisal, computer use, deception, data analysis, cooking, driving, drone operation, disguise, engineering. Oh, and like 20 types of engineering. All right. Every item. Okay, so every skill also has a job. You can select up to 2 jobs. There are ways to get more. What this means are these are things that you're just better at than other people because you actively do them. All right. So you have your jobs, and if you choose a job, you also get the bonus item. So, for example, if you're a civil engineer, is what you did. Infrastructure is a lifeline of the post-calamity world, and civil engineers play a crucial role in designing and building resilient structures, responsible for projects like roads, bridges, tunnels, and water supply systems. Civil engineers ensure the safety and sustainability of the critical infrastructure. What do you get? A riot barrier system, a compact and quickly deployable system of reinforced barriers designed to create a temporary barricades for crowd control or against hostile defenses or hostile forces. Sorry. All right. So just looking at some of these, every skill will have that. Every skill will have a job and a bonus item that you'll go into the game with. And that helps you, with the role-playing aspect and whatnot. Get a little winded here. It's okay. I just get coming over this flu. I don't know if you guys have had the flu this winter, but oh my goodness, it kicked me in the pants. All right. Oh, look at this. I got a skill called Faith as well. Very interesting skill. It's not mandatory. And I have a note here because some people will probably roll their eyes like, Faith, what? Oh. Let me read the note. Faith skill is designed to foster unity rather than divisiveness and does not necessitate genuine faith in any specific religion. It can represent a robust internal belief system or an utter belief in humanity. Consequently, when the faithful employ their ability, it affects all allies. Allied characters have the flexibility to benefit from the bonus regardless of their personal beliefs. The intention is to provide a motivational boost rather than create discord among characters. In short, characters can use the bonus in spite of the faithful character's belief, like, oh yeah, I don't need your faith, I can do this, you know? So even regardless, if you want to use it faith-based or not, it still gives you the benefit whether you're for it or against it. So always a benefit just to have the player role-playing that concept, all right? Farming, hacking, forgery, information gathering, intimidation, innuendo, insight, maintenance, manufacturing, perception, persuasion, racing, all right? Scavenging, poison use, stealth, streetwise, teaching. Teaching's great. I mean, who here loves their teachers? I love teachers, even though they get paid trash in a lot of places. That being said, the cool part about having the teaching skill is that you can actually take one of your skills and show somebody else how to do it, and then they can help you buff your own skill. That is absolutely legitimate awesome. All right, so first aid. You spend some time showing a guy, hey, this is what you got to do, and he gets basically a 0 bonus first aid. Now, later on, you're having to do first aid on somebody, and you're like, here, hold this. And he rolls the skill synergy, basically. We'll talk about that. Again, a little bit of ADD. We go all over the place. We travel. Trying to teach you about GunCraze. I get excited. All right. So, I should have stayed right where I was, actually. So, at the top of skills, oh, there's all the skills, too, by the way. Big list. I'll pause it just for a minute so you can take a look. And then I'll scroll down a little bit. So there's a bunch. And there's more probably going to come. All right, so skill test. So a skill test is a D10 plus the skill rank bonus, how many ranks you have in it, plus your attribute bonus, whether it's wisdom, intelligence, or presence, that adds to it, plus any equipment bonus you might have, plus any other miscellaneous bonus. All right. So skill fusion. This is what we're talking about. That skill synergy I mentioned earlier. Skill fusion. All right. Characters who have the same skills as a character taking a skill test may lend their assistance. It's called skill fusion. This can be very helpful. Any character wishing to assist the player taking the skill test rolls their skill test as if they were taking the test themselves. This is called a skill fusion roll. Reference the chart below and determine the skill bonus that will be applied to the actual skill test as a skill fusion bonus. All right, so I have that character I just mentioned with you. He's got a +0. All right, he's got a +0 because I taught him how to do first aid, and now my character sees this down guy. Hey, come help me do this first aid. He runs up and he rolls his test. He rolls a 10. That gives him a total of 10. All right, which is, if you look at this, it gives a +2 skill fusion bonus. That now goes to my bonus. So when I roll, I add the +2 on top of that. Okay? There is a little bit thing here. While teamwork makes the dream work, too many people working on one project does limit results from crossed ideas and people getting in the way. If more than one player assists a character making a skill test using skill fusion, the highest skill fusion bonus of all theirs is used. You don't add it all together. All right. Basically, the guy who did the best just steps forward and he helps. Hopefully, it's the +5. All right. All right. So moving on. Here's some target numbers for skills. All right. You have very easy, average, difficult, very difficult, extremely difficult, near impossible, and there's some examples below. I'll go ahead and drop it here for a minute. You can pause it and read it when you get a moment. But so there are skill difficulties that you can add to modify target numbers for skills. All right, guy wants to balance on his pinky in a handstand. Well, that's going to be near impossible. Good luck. But he might be able to pull it off with the right gear. All right, so skill hindrance. All right, these are just things that the climate or something around you that pushes against your check. All right, you can have skill hindrance. All right, for different things. All right, untrained skills. All right, a lot of skills you can use without training. All right. Let's see here. Let's move back to. We'll slow our roll. We kind of went off on a little tangent. We're gonna bring it back. Get back to those that designing that we're working on. We're gonna go back to. Maybe I can go ahead and talk about all this stuff all day. All right, let's go back to Ricochet. All right, and I don't want to go here anyway. I'm gonna use this one. All right. So Ricochet Expert, going back to this. What I like to do, again, I like to take the text out of my summary, my skill summary, and I like to paste it in here and then modify it. All right. Let's see. Characters attempting to, let's see. To ricochet, oh my gosh, look at that. One day, ricochet. Thank you, French people. I don't know if it's French. I just made that up. To ricochet an attack, a handgun user must be adjacent to target. Adjacent, that's a little rough. I mean, to targets within 10 feet. Okay, I did put that. Got about to say. Must be in 10 feet of the ricochet attack. The handgun user must be within 10 feet of the target. All right. So you don't, not necessarily just a person. You could ricochet around to hit something, a lever or something like that. Somebody's blocked in the way and there's a glass panel you want to shatter. Ricochet the round around them and hit in. So definitely one of those things. All right. Hey, make sure if you're watching, drop a message, say hi, drop a follow if you haven't yet. I appreciate you, any input you have or any questions that you have. All right. Let's see here. The handgun user must be within 10 feet of the target. All right. The target must be visible. to the attacker. All right. I don't like handgun user. Handgun. I get that. The attacker must be 10 feet of the defender. Target. I like it. All right. Let's see. So, to ricochet attack, the attacker must be within 10 feet of the target, though the target must be visible to the attacker. The attack. Let's see here. To ricochet an attack, the attacker must be within 10 feet of the target through the attacker. Got to word the wording right? You know, I want to be able to make this make sense. I know what it does. You use an aim shot, and you bounce the round off around and negate somebody's armor. That's the concept. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go red text that for now. I'll go back to it. I don't want to eat up a lot of you guys' time. I'm going to kind of get through some of these things. I can fix that on my time. All right, so that's your ricochet expert. All right. I'm going to go ahead and make that black. All right, next we're getting into smoking barrels. This one overflows the page, but I'm going to wait until I'm completely finished to level this out, you know, shifting it left and right, up and down. All right, so smoking barrels is an absolute favorite. However, it's gone through some changes that aren't actually reflected here. So let's go ahead and move the talents from. That's what I'm doing. I've been reorganizing this because what I did was have this giant spell book list of talents, and then I put them all at the front. Go find them. Well, that's a pain. People don't want to have to search that hard, including myself. So I'm separating them and organizing them into smaller bits. So we're going to get the smoking barrels. I'm going to grab all this. Control X. Come to the bottom of Ricochet Expert. Control V. They'll take a second because it always does. All right. Bump it up to the next section. All right, so this is one of those tiered things with smoking barrels improved and mastered. All right. Right here, the current rule is the talent allows the user to fire a semi-automatic handgun. Okay, actually, this is the correct version. I'm sorry, I apologize. The talent allows the user to fire a semi-automatic handgun as a weapon with the automatic special rule. The auto rating may be up to the user's speed rank, and the amount of damage dice rolled is doubled for the attack. Okay, so that's basically, this used to be a slower version where you'd roll 5 attacks per weapon, and it ended up being 10 attacks, and it took too long. Like, how can we make that better? Well, you know what? And turn it into, basically, you turn a handgun user into an automatic handgun user. He's pulling the trigger so fast. He's laying it down like that. So, what is the next smoking barrels improve? As smoking barrels, but the auto rating equals the user's speed rank +1, and the attack gains 1 advantage dice when rolling damage. For those of you who have not stopped by in the last couple episodes, advantage dice are basically extra dice you roll for damage. So if you had a heavy handgun, does 2d6 damage, and you had an advantage dice, you'd roll 3d6 damage, but you would drop the lowest dice. All right, that's why it's called an advantage dice. So advantage dice are very important. If you can get them, you get them, especially for critical hits, because one of the critical hits benefits that you can choose, because you get to choose, is you can turn your advantage dice into damage dice, meaning you could end up doing a ton of damage. All right. So that being said, smoking barrels improved, handguns 3, speed 3. So you need some speed to be able to even do this. All right. This attack also gains 1 advantage dice when rolling damage. Smoking Barrels Mastered. As Smoking Barrels, but auto rating equal to users the speed rank +2. This attack also gains 2 advantage dice when rolling damage. Alright. So there is so basically you're using the auto roll, which means you have to spend a certain amount of ammunition to even pull this off. Alright. And we'll talk about automatic fire later. I don't want to get too sidetracked with that. Unless somebody wants to stop and do it right now. Put it in the chat. I'll stop and I'll discuss automatic fire. Because people might want to know, like, how do you shoot off a round of... GunCraze uses 2-second rounds. You know how many rounds you can fire with an Uzi in 2 seconds? All of them. All of them. Just all of them. Alright. So coming around to the last few minutes of the stream where I was generally planning. So I'm going to show you guys some other stuff real quick. Sorry, this cold has got my nose itching a lot, or this flu or whatever I had. My 2 co-workers both had the flu, so I'm assuming it's the flu. But, whew, I tell you what, it kicks your butt. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and load up Wartop. Give you a little demonstration at the last closing minutes. Alright. This is made by Two Beard Games. They are amazing. Alright. This is definitely up and coming. And when you buy it, it's about $12 on Steam. It comes with GunCraze Miniature Battles. Alright. What is that? It is the board game version of GunCraze. What does that mean? That means that GunCraze has more than a role-playing game. It also has a role-playing a board game and a role-playing game that uses the same rules. Why is that amazing? Because when you, and I'll show you here in a moment. How about if I load it up? Run in my mouth. All right. All right. Oh, shut that. Okay, so this is a map that I built that right now I'm running a small game in. All right, we have the Batchoy clowns. These are miniatures designed by Papsicles. If you don't know who he is, stop by GunCraze.net. There are links to help you find Papsicles. These are his miniatures imported into Wartop so that you can enjoy them. They're just glorious, beautiful miniatures. Now, each one of these miniatures has a card. These cards are also available on GunCraze.net for free, and you can use them as, allies, adversaries, monsters, something like that. So just with here, you could see, all right, that this character, Henryu, his movement is 2, 4, 6, and 9, depending on his movement rate. He has a katana with 3 attacks, and here's his hit locations down here on the right. Okay, so I know the top of the screen is cut off a little bit, and I apologize for that. I'll work on that. So that being said, Wartop is a virtual tabletop. All right, dice rolling, all the business. It is, it's pretty smooth. Maybe a slight learning curve just to get it. And I say that because I tried to learn the game without using the help screen, which would have saved like a year of work because the controls are right here. All right, you hit F1. It's the thing. So I just wanted to show you Wartop. And also, when you get it, you're also going to get the rule book. It's loaded in here, so you can look at it at any point, along with all the other games that are in here that come with all the miniatures. Again, very cool virtual tabletop. I highly recommend you stop by, and I think coming up in the following streams, I'm probably going to be doing some giveaways. I have some keys for Wartop, and we'll look forward to that. So I'm going to show you just a little bit more on Wartop real quick. Actually, no, I'm not this time. So I'm going to go over a couple more things with you before I leave. I'm just going to show you attacking and defending, and I'm going to show you dealing damage. All right, so
Attacking and defending in GunCraze. Demonstrated on Wartop, an exciting new virtual tabletop available on Steam. Sanctifier attacks Punisher with his minigun. In GunCraze, both players roll d10s in opposed tests, keeping both sides actively engaged. Sanctifier rolls a 10, while Punisher gets a dismal roll of 1. Sanctifier adds his attack bonus, and Punisher, without cover, must use his evasion defense. The result is 16 versus 1. Sanctifier hits his mark with ease. Learn more at GunCraze.net. Dealing damage in GunCraze. Demonstrated on Wartop, Sanctifier has hit Punisher and rolls his burst D3. He scores 2, doubling his damage. He rolls 6 damage dice and a hit location. 23 damage. This damage is applied to the 7, or torso, reducing Punisher's torso armor to 12. Learn more at GunCraze.net.
okay, so really enjoy showing those videos. I think they're. I'm going to make some more here coming up soon. Trying to juggle running the stream with working on the game, discussing it. Or really excited to get a lot of y'all's comments. It'd be really great to hear good, bad, negative, or people that are still interested to come back and watch another time. Anybody who saw something that maybe was glaring or has a cool idea, I'm on here for you to drop those in the chat. So by all means, please do. I take constructive criticism pretty well, I'd like to think. I mean, I'll only go and cut myself maybe 1 out of every 5 comments. That's a joke. I'm not trying to make light of people who do that. But that being said, I really look forward to our future streams. So go to Facebook, Instagram, drop those follows, ask the questions, become part of the community. This is our game, all right? This is your game. You never had a chance to put your own ideas into a game that's coming out, all right? Again, GunCraze Miniature Battles is already on Amazon. GunCraze role-playing game is going to be there. Whether or not your character is mentioned in this rulebook is up to you. And with that, I leave you, and I hope you have a wonderful night, and I look forward to streaming with you again tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Please join me, and maybe I'll be thinking about giving away one of those Wartop Steam keys. All right? Y'all take care, and God bless.